Nebraska won the toss, and they have deferred to the second half. They will kick it off. We'll see Colorado on offense first, and Konalik moves forward, and this one is underway. High spinner going to come down at the 4. This is Josh Smith. Juggled it for a moment and now takes it out across the 30-yard line. So Cody Hawkins, the sophomore out of Boise, Idaho.
And had lost his starting job to the aforementioned Tyler Hansen. But the second half against Iowa State played lights out. 20 of 29, brought them back in that game for the victory. Got the start against Oklahoma State. And Hawkins played very well against a good Oklahoma State defense. The key there, no turnovers, of course, on the road. That'll be huge if he can do that again today.
It'll be Sumler who will start at tailback. We are going to see Darrell Scott today, the freshman out of Ventura, California, who has been bothered with injuries this year. Hawkins, first down. Quarterback keeper, not going anywhere. Stopped at the line of scrimmage. It'll be a 2nd down and 10.
And this defensive line for Nebraska, going all the way back to last spring, made a bunch of promises that they would be the group that held this defense together. The secondary took a little while to gel. Carl Pelini talked about how big the Texas Tech game was in helping them figure out that they were pretty good. But this defensive front, very active there. They did a stunt inside. They're all big and quick. This is a nice combination for Carl and Bo Pelini.
A lot of people forget that Texas Tech had to go into overtime to beat them. Hawkins pass. Somebody blew a coverage wide open over the middle, and he's going to take it the distance for the touchdown. Greer. Ryer Geer, a junior out of Grand Junction, the tight end, looked up, and he was as surprised as the secondary of Nebraska. 68 yards on the second play from scrimmage.
Got awfully quiet in here. There's Greer at the top of the screen, and that was just an absolute blown coverage. That was Lance Thorell that was over there. Looked like he should have gotten him and let him run right by him.
Well, Goodman with the extra point attempt, and we will hold it right here. So, as Ed said, this 297 straight sellout crowd who was making a lot of noise just a moment ago, all of a sudden they've gone silent.
And Hawkins lucky to get that ball off. There was good pressure. But looked to me like Lance Thorell was the guy who was supposed to be in coverage. They had a stunt up front, no real blitz. But just this shocked crowd and mental error by Nebraska. Clearly, they didn't realize that Greer was in that. And to me, it looked like Thorell who just totally missed it.
Last year, they scored 65 points. That game was up in Boulder, with Nebraska's bold eligibility on the line in that one. And Colorado down 11 points at the half, scored 34 unanswered to start the second half. And it was 65-51 the final score. Good look at Geer. He is a junior out of Grand Junction. And I know what he's saying to his teammates. Yes, I've never been that open in my life.
Not even when they're going against air.
Caught in the air by one of the upbacks. Lawson, the fullback, and Thomas Lawson, who caught it on the fly, a knuckleball, will give his Nebraska teammates very good field position. Joe Gantz, the senior out of Palos Heights, Illinois.
And a young man who took over last year for Sam Keller with 3 games left and played lights out down the stretch. You just showed the highlights of that Colorado-Nebraska game last year. He had 521 yards of total offense against Colorado. In the last 5 or 6 games of this season, Gans has played very efficiently.
Hello will open at tailback. Roy wears number 10. Going to be a keeper for the quarterback, and Gantz is going to have a pickup of about 8 yards. Tripped up by Brad Jones. Let's go back to the touchdown, Ed.
Well, if you look at here is Geer right here. He's going to run just straight down the middle of the field. It looked to me like someone in this area, yeah, absolutely was Thorell. A cornerback, a nickelback came in and was standing. Thorell standing in that position, and that's exactly who Bo Pelini is talking to, explaining that young man's responsibility as the nickelback. He had the tight end and just flat let him go.
Well, you could see the reaction when it was like, oh, I knew I blew it.
Yeah.
But he did not have the speed to catch up on the play. Keeper again by Gantz, and he'll have the first down as he takes it to the 45-yard line. Tackle made by Jeff Smart, the middle linebacker for Colorado.
You know, it was interesting when Jack was talking about what Sean Watson did with the playbook to simplify it. They also went to some stuff in the playbook that they hadn't really used that much earlier in the year. After the Missouri game, they realized if we start to spread people out, we're better running the ball with our quarterback and our I-backs with more people away from the line of scrimmage. And they really kind of changed the identity of this offense after that blowout in Missouri.
First down, the crowd is still very quiet. That ball almost intercepted, and you have to wonder if Todd Peterson, somebody was on the wrong page. Either the route was run wrong, and for a quarterback to be that far off on a short pass, you have to think it was the route.
And Gantz is a guy who, when he gets into his rhythm, is very accurate. That's the one thing that the coaches talk about with Gantz is he'll be a little streaky, but he's very accurate. So I agree that someone was wrong there, because that ball, and if it wasn't tipped, may have been picked off.
Second down and 10. Meadow gets the handoff, turns the corner, and he'll be at the 40-yard line. It'll be third down and 5. Well, let's take a look at the Best Buy impact players.
Well, the Nebraska offense, we just saw Helu has really stepped up his game. Marlon Lucky, we may not see. The senior has a turf toe. This young man's become very patient. Nate Swift, the all-time leading pass catcher at Nebraska. And then a nice compliment, Todd Peterson, the bigger body at 6'4", 215 pounds. Both of these guys, seniors, have had very nice careers.
By the way, when Swift was announced today, he got a very, very loud ovation, as did Gantz. Third down, line to make is the 35. Gantz to throw. Under pressure, going to be sacked at the 44 by Brad Jones. Was that a 2-man route or a 3-man route?
Well, they left a lot of people in. Mike McNeil is going to be working one-on-one, and Jones is just standing and then goes right by him. That was bad technique by McNeil, known more for his route running, but going one-on-one against a good pass rusher, he just ducked his head, and that's what happens. Wherever the head goes, the body follows.
Titchener, a senior, stands back to punt, waiting for the pass from center at the 41. It's a low one and gets it away. And might have kicked it a little harder than he wanted as it goes into the end zone. So Colorado will get it at their own 20-yard line, 44 yards on the boot, and it's 7-0. The Buffaloes on top. Last night at the Cornhusker Inn, where we are all staying, a lot of turkey for the crew. They had a delicious meal, which I don't think anybody left with any space in their stomach. Seconds and thirds for most.
I've had about 5 meals at that place, the Cornhusker Inn. It's a fantastic, fantastic service they have over there.
Yeah, I'll tell you, it was wonderful last night. They're going to go on top again, and he's got a man out there. It is caught at the 40-yard line by Josh Smith. I mean, the Buffaloes are not taking any prisoners to open this ball game.
And Nebraska came out in a dime look. They had 6 defensive backs, and Josh Smith, a 45-yard completion. The young man that everybody in Colorado has been waiting for, sophomore with great speed, had his best week and a half of preparation. Remember, Colorado had a bye week, as did Nebraska coming in. And the coaches talked about wanting to get Josh Smith involved.
And that was not bad coverage either.
No. Nice throw.
45 yards on their last first play as they turn the corner. And this is somewhere down the sideline at the 5, and he will take it in for the touchdown. 36 yards. In 4 offensive snaps, the Buffaloes are on the board with 2 touchdowns. Who would have thought it?
Well, after the 65 points that were scored last year by Colorado and Nebraska, Dan Hawkins and his staff talked about the confidence that their team got last game against Oklahoma State. They lost but played hard, and they went back and remembered last year, and they felt this team was going to be very confident. Right now, people in Lincoln are pretty wide-eyed.
Goodman with the extra point. Knocks it home. And as you can imagine, a jubilant group of Buffaloes as they come back to the sideline. Take a look at this. Second play in this series, just as the last one, and they're on the board with 14 points. Sutler for 36 yards.
Because he's racing and pacing and plotting the course. He's fighting and fighting.
So we are back, and if you just walked into your living room, you're wanting to see what's going on between the Huskers and the Buffaloes. What's going on is the Buffaloes are going on, and the Huskers have a late wake-up call so far. Well, 14-0.
Yeah, and you came into this game knowing that Colorado was in the exact same spot they were in last year, having to win to go to a bowl game. Last year they beat Nebraska to go to a bowl game, and you felt that Nebraska saw this as a revenge game, but right now it looks like the only team that's shown up is Colorado.
Colorado's 2 longest plays of the year on offense, 68 yards and the 44-yarder, have come on first down of second down of this opening 2 drives for them, as Bernard spins his way like a whirling dervish up over the 35. Let's take a look right now at our Best Buy playbook.
Well, there's a lot of misdirection, but watch the right guard. Barons is going to pull around. The misdirection comes to the left of the defense, and Sumler gets it. But as we stop it, the safety and the cornerback on that side, Anthony West and Eric Hagg, totally get sucked over. They do not find the ball. It's kind of like the wing T, and that's 2 mental errors. First one on the tight end, Ryer Greer, running free down the middle, and that one not recognizing where the ball was.
Gantz throws his pass out into the flat, complete to Helu. 45, and bumped out of bounds at around the 47. That is a gain of 11 yards. It'll be enough for the first down. Anthony Perkins defensively.
When we were talking to Ron Collins, the defensive coordinator, he was talking about having 2 freshman safeties, Anthony Perkins in there, and of course Patrick Mankey, because DJ Dykes, a senior, is out with an illness, and Ryan Walters, who was unfortunately hurt in his last game in Colorado against Oklahoma State 2 weeks ago, not available today.
Play at left guard, and this is going to go for about 5 yards. Sean Moeller making the tackle. Sean had a really good game against Oklahoma State. In fact, that was his high water mark of his career. He had 12 tackles in that one.
A first-year guy in the system. He's a junior college transfer, still learning on the go. He's the only junior college guy that they signed because they were trying to replace Jordan Dizon, who was such a fantastic player for Colorado last year, and he's starting to find his niche in this defense.
Well, if they want to get this crowd back in it, they got to have some results on this offensive series. Make the pass to the left, throws back to the right, blocker in front, and Helu turns it up, and Helu will inside the 30, down to the 27. Brad Jones finally stopped it. First and 10 Huskers after a gain of 19.
Well, and they get Leiden Murtha, the big right tackle, 6'7", 315 pounds, is going to get out in front. Doesn't throw much of a block, but Helu does a nice job as soon as he gets it, finding the big body and then cutting up behind it. Again, Murtha doesn't get much of anything on Jimmy Smith, but it was the good cut by Helu, and of course the ball thrown behind the line of scrimmage. In college, the offensive lineman can block downfield before the ball is thrown.
Straight ahead inside the 25. Beatty is there defensively to make the tackle on Helu. Helu, a sophomore out of Danville, California, and getting the start because Marlon Lucky has been very unlucky. He injured a toe just a few weeks ago and has not been able to get over that. And you know, our spotters looking up here in the booth said, you know, he didn't get many carries warming up today either.
He had to wear the boot, and of course Marlon Lucky, when you wear that boot all week and you're not able to practice the boot so your toe doesn't bend, tough break for a senior in his last game at Memorial Stadium.
Yeah, that's the truth. Helu breaks the tackle, gets outside, and that second effort may be enough for the first down. I think it is.
Wrapped up by number 12.
Patrick Mankey making the stop for the Buffaloes.
Marlon Lucky hurt that toe against Kansas State. And how tough is this? If he got 37 more all-purpose yards, he'd pass Amon Green and be second behind Mike Rozier and Johnny Rogers. And shame that he may not get that chance.
And he came here as one of the most ballyhooed players coming out of high school that Nebraska had ever signed. And I know every time I watched one of their games, I was always excited to see him get the football because he was fun. Yes, got it complete inside the 10-yard line. Todd Peterson on the receiving end, and now that offense is clicking on the part of the Cornhuskers. Jimmy Smith made the defensive stop, but it's a gain of 11 yards.
Nice play calling by Sean Watson. Nobody's pushing the panic button, and it looks like Joe Gans has gotten into a little bit of a rhythm. Remember, the throw earlier to Peterson was off. That one on time and on the money.
Well, you talked about that he is a rhythm type of guy, and once he gets into that groove, then he rarely misses. First and goal. The line of scrimmage about 7.5 yards away. 14-0. Colorado at an early shocking lead here in Lincoln, Nebraska. Halu takes it inside the 5, and he's down around the 4. Lucas came over to grab him by the ankles. If you just joined us, Colorado on second down, their second play, threw to the tight end and scored from 68 yards away, their longest offensive play of the year. And then on the second play of the next drive, they score from 36 yards on a running play, that one by Sumler. And that's how they are up 14-0 early in this one. Now with the Huskers threatening, sitting at the 4-yard line. Halu hit with a good ankle high tackle, and it's going to be a third down situation. They're still going to be 2.5 yards away. That was Jeff Smart who wrapped him up, and he could not move another inch once Smart hit him.
And now you're in a situation for Nebraska. I thought maybe they'd try to throw a slant there. You've got some bigger bodies. Todd Peterson at 6'4", 215 pounds. Look for him. Maybe you can even think fade or a slant to him. He's over up to the right to the top of the screen.
This is the 9th play of the drive. It all started back at the 36-yard line. Trying to cut the lead in half. Fade route near sideline, wide open. Touchdown, Nate Swift. And the senior who received such a huge ovation when the seniors were announced today has the touchdown. Chappelle Brown trying to cover, but Chappelle is only about 5'7", and the balloons let go here at Memorial Stadium as the Huskers are back in this one, trying to make it a 14-7 ball game.
There was a song, 99 Red Balloons. This is 99,000 red balloons. I don't know if I've ever seen this many get released.
Here's Henry with the extra point attempt, and he's got it. Good pass from center. So, with the clock showing 5 minutes and 46 seconds left until halftime, our new score, the Buffs 14 and the Huskers 7. A little one on that tractor getting experience early. And the Cornhuskers 14-7, our new score with 5:46 left. And this crowd of 85,319 finally making some noise again. They were very noisy at the start of this game, and then pow, Colorado hit them with 2 quick scores as Josh Smith is going to be stopped as he crosses the 25. Let's go down the sideline in Jackaroo. Jack?
Well, Ron, on this Thanksgiving weekend, Nate Swift has a lot to be thankful for, not just records or not just that touchdown. Consider the fact that at age 11, he fell out of the top bunk of a bunk bed. He could not move his legs. He was paralyzed for more than 3 weeks, finally diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. It took months and months of rehabilitation, and Swift came back and became a pro football player a while back, because the fact is that he can still have a recurrence of Guillain-Barré. He said, I don't think about it anymore.
Okay, Jack, great story. Darrell Scott in the ball game at tailback. Pressure on Hawkins, running for his life, and he just throws that one away. Zach Potter wouldn't give up, and Zach just kept coming after him. The big senior out of Omaha, 6'7", 280 pounds, number 98. There he is.
And we saw this a little bit out of Hawkins in that Oklahoma State game. Hansen is the better athlete of the 2 quarterbacks, and that's why we'll see him today. But Hawkins has a very good sense in the pocket. Had a couple of nice runs for first downs against Oklahoma State, and that time it looked like Potter was going to get him, and he slipped away.
First carry by Scott, tries to turn the corner, and this time there's not only containment, there are a group of black shirts out there to make the tackle.
And this is a young man, Darrell Scott, who was the highest rated running back in the country out of California. Bit of a coup for Dan Hawkins and his staff to get him. But as a lot of young players find out, when you get to this level, nicks, bruises, bangs. He's got a groin, a knee, an ankle. Did not play against Oklahoma State. And I think Dan Hawkins is ready for this young man to take the next step. I bet we're going to see more of Sumler the rest of the afternoon. That looked a little tiptoey trying to get outside.
Third down. They need about 10.5 yards for the first. This is their first third down of the afternoon. Pressure, and he'll go down at the 18. Tenarce, Ricky Tenarce, a junior out of Los Angeles. First time that they have gotten to Hawkins today.
Well, Bo Pelini and Carl Pelini calling a lot of dime and nickel. These are two defensive backs just running through the A-gap between the guard and the center. Sumler can pick up one, but because they brought too many guys in the middle, it was not able to be handled. Now the correction is Colorado's got to squeeze down, let the outside man come free, not a speedster on the inside. He gets to the quarterback quicker.
Suazo prepares to punt it away, waits for the snap at the 5-yard line. Here's his boot, not real long, and it's an end-over-end kick. Caught there by Nate Swift, who didn't totally have the handle, so he just did the smart thing and fell on the football. Well, tomorrow night at ABC, number 3 Oklahoma and number 12 Oklahoma State. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines is a part of Rivalry Week presented by Samsung Mobile on ABC tomorrow night at 8 Eastern.
Well, the reports out of Stillwater are that Kendall Hunter is going to be able to play. Of course, he was injured in that game at Colorado a couple of weeks ago, and they were very quiet. Word is he's going to play, but if this young man is slowed in any way, that alters that game quite a bit.
Yeah, he is definitely the heart and soul. Blitz coming up the middle, man coverage, 25, McNeil, 10, 5, touchdown Huskers, 53 yards. We're a point away from a tie-ball game. Sean Moeller was beaten. Really a nice job of blocking by the offensive front. Hickman, Williams, Slauson, Murtha, and Smith. They made it happen. Extra point attempt. Henry knocks it home. And will hold it right here with 4:04 to play, opening quarter. 4 touchdowns. Would you have predicted that in?
No, and 2 by tight ends just running straight down the field. Watch the blitz come, and they asked Moeller to run all the way over to get coverage on McNeil, who at 6'4", 240 can really scoot. This is that's just tough duty to ask Moeller when you've got a blitz coming from the strong side.
Good point.
To have the weak side linebacker have to run all the way over. The tight end Gear, his touchdown for Colorado was a blown assignment. This one, I think you're asking a guy to do too much. I just don't see how that weak side linebacker is going to get over on a go route by the tight end.
Right now, Mr. Moeller is not going to argue with you. In fact, he likes your version of it.
Yeah. Well, I think we were just talking about Moeller being a first-year player. What he needs to do, if he knows that defense is called, he's got to get across. He's got to sneak a little bit, end up almost at that middle linebacker spot. But that will come with time. But it's awfully tough to ask a guy to go that far.
I'm sorry.
No.
Kudelik prepares to kick it off. As you look at Moeller on the sideline, discussing with the defensive coaches exactly what just happened, and probably exactly what Ed talked about. This is Smith. And he'll make it to the 25, and that's just about it. You know, Nebraska offensively, take a look at their rankings this year.
And you know what's funny is a lot of this gets lost. You compare the NCAA rankings, and then you look at the Big 12 and you say, well, wait a minute, if you're that good offensively, shouldn't you be better than 6th? But when
well, guess what?
Yeah.
It's what we talked about off the top of the telecast. 5 schools in the Big 12 in the top 12 into the last weekend of the season. Incredible.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the wise move of Bo Pelini keeping Sean Watson here for that continuity on the offensive side of the ball that Jack talked about at the top of the show.
Hawkins, quarterback draw, nothing. Potter, Zach Potter is right there to wrap him up. And in fact, that's going to be a loss of about 3 yards.
This is what's called a tackle end stunt. The tackle goes first, the end comes underneath. And Potter, another one of the seniors playing his last game at Memorial Stadium, has been playing lights out the last 5 or 6 games. This guy's been off the hook.
You could see 72 Devin Head turning around and looking and said, where did he come from? And he came right behind him. Blitz coming off the corner. 2nd down and 12. Short pass hit immediately. And now this crowd is aroused, as is the Cornhusker football team.
When you go back to that call, the stunt, the defensive line stunt on a down that the offense may not expect it, and that really comes from Bo Pelini's training in the NFL. Remember, he was in the NFL for almost a decade before he came back to be the defensive coordinator here in 2003. Frank Solich was let go, and he left to go to LSU to Oklahoma and really makes nice calls. Carl Pelini, of course, calling them, but they work hand in glove.
3rd down. They need to take it out to the 38-yard line. Hawkins deep over the middle, has a man at the 50-yard line, throws it complete. Scotty McKnight, who had the tip touchdown pass against Oklahoma State up in Boulder.
This is an excellent job by both the quarterback Hawkins and the wide receiver McKnight not giving up on this. Eric Hagg had underneath coverage. The safety over the top, Asante, was there, but McKnight stayed on his path, and as soon as Hagg turned to look, he lost separation, and McKnight continued. Nice throw by Hawkins as well. 22 yards on the play. Double reverse. They can throw it, and he's got a man throwing to the far sideline, in and out of the hands of Scott. And Darrell Scott had it hit him in the wrong place, right in the hands and the stomach. And what that freshman needs to learn is, when you got a guy on your hip like he had in Anthony West, slow down and let that man run into you. We're talking about a true freshman who's mostly a running back, didn't have to get involved in the passing game much in high school when you're that dominant. But watch right here at the end, and again, this will come with experience. You've got the guy there, lean into him, and you might get the penalty.
That's McKnight who was throwing the pass. 2nd down and 10. And the Buffs have pulled out all the stops here. Blitz coming on this play. Ball is tipped and picked off. Picked off by Workman.
Well, it is turning into a heck of a senior day for a lot of seniors around here. This is senior to senior. 6'7" Zach Potter is going to get the pick. Let's freeze it right here. And Wortman was coming on the blitz, and it's almost like a volleyball set. Volleyball is actually huge in this state, especially women's volleyball, and I wonder if Zach Potter doesn't go and work out with the team occasionally, because that looked like a perfect set for his senior teammate.
And then Wortman got the spike, got the kill. It is 1st down, and they have the ball at the Buffalo's 33-yard line. Castile in the ball game at tailback, and he's going to throw. Now he's going to run it, and as he turns it upfield, coverage downfield, the man that he was looking for, who was open on the play, was Mike McNeil. And now let's send it to New York and John Saunders in our Times Square studio.
Ron, thanks a lot. In this Taco Bell studio update, LSU against Arkansas. Arkansas had been in control, but Jordan Jefferson goes 11-yard touchdown pass to Richard Dixon, and they've just added a field goal right now, so LSU on top, 23-14.
Okay, John, our situation tied at 14, and the Cornhuskers on the prowl as Gantz will scamper out of bounds, maybe a gain of a yard, as Hippolyte and Brad Jones combining on the stop.
It's hard to put into perspective the career that Joe Gantz had. With 3 games left in his junior year last year, he'd attempted 14 career passes total. And Sam Keller gets injured. Gantz comes in, has the top 2 total offense games ever at Nebraska at the end of the season. And he is now sitting on top of the records, passing up Zach Taylor, had a great year in 06.
3rd down. They need to take it down to the 23-yard line. Under pressure. Gantz still looking. Now throws it, and just enough for the 1st down to hold. Menelik Holt, the junior out of San Diego, did a great job of waiting for the pass and keeping his feet in bounds.
And Holt was the guy on the touchdown to Swift who ran a good route to get Swift open. Gans doing a nice job. And I think when NFL scouts look at Joe Gans, I think it's plays like that there to give him a shot. I think that Joe is going to get a nice look in an NFL camp next summer.
That's good for 13 yards. You just joined us. We're tied at 14 in the final 10 seconds of this opening quarter. And straight ahead in the running play, it'll be a 2nd down and 8, and that'll be the final play of this opening quarter. So the Buffaloes stormed out of the gates with 14 points, and Nebraska has come back to answer. This presentation of college football presented by Best Buy will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. Our score. Good look at our graphics department as we say thanks to those guys and the wonderful job that they do. In that first quarter, 28 points, 305 combined yards, and two teams that were really not considered offensive juggernauts.
Well, Colorado's only scored 20 points one time in Big 12 competition, so it's rather surprising.
Well, Gantz, the quarterback, will keep this one. McKay will make the stop, and it's going to be a 3rd down. And they're still going to have to take it down to the 12-yard line to keep this one going.
I always think in this situation, this 3rd down situation, 18-yard line, you've gotten control of the game again. It looked like it was going to get a little out of hand. I always think this is a chance to throw one up into the end zone, either to a Swift down here at the bottom. You could also look for
Peterson.
Yeah, Peterson at 6'4".
Yeah, he gives you the same thing that Nate does, except he's about 3 inches taller. So 3rd down, and again the line to make is the 12. Good protection, got one over the middle, throws it complete, and there is Nate Swift, the young man that Ed was just talking about. One of the 2 likely candidates on the play, and that's good for 9 yards, and they'll move the sticks. It'll be 1st and goal for Nebraska.
And this is a great route by Swift. The coverage was excellent by Jimmy Smith, but Swift just never gave up on it. And he is closing in on Johnny Rodgers for career receiving yardage. He's under 40 yards needed for that record. That'd be an unbelievable deal.
You could see where Gantz threw the football, and it is where nobody else could get it. A little low, but not too low. 1st down from the 9, so it's goal to go, and here comes option. Gantz strung it out too far and then pitches it back, and Castile is hit and knocked out of bounds. And now let's send you to New York and John Saunders in our Times Square studio.
And it's time now for our nominee for the Pontiac game-changing performance. LaShawn McCoy of Pitt had a terrific day. 2 touchdowns, 183 yards as well. Vote for your Pontiac game-changing performance beginning Sunday at 9 a.m. Go to ESPN.com, search Pontiac. Ron.
Okay, John Saunders, our situation, 2nd down and goal. The option play simply did not work, and a direct snap to Helu. And Helu is going to be stopped for maybe a gain of 1, and now it's 3rd down for the Huskers.
And Colorado, going back to that Oklahoma State game, they had 2 stops of Oklahoma State inside the 5-yard line that led to field goals. So this defense, despite all of the injuries, this team has lost over 100 games in their 1st and 2nd string to injuries this year. A bunch of guys banged up. We already mentioned the 2 senior safeties that are out, but tough inside the 10-yard line and goal-to-go situation. And last time we saw that little rub route to Swift in the slot. Maybe we'll see it again.
Castile is the man in motion, so it's empty behind the quarterback, Joe Gantz. Pumps, looking, still looking, now runs back to his left, needing some help. And Gantz of all things, now that's going to be grounding, is it not? No, he threw it. He was outside the tackle barrier, but, you know, anyway.
Yeah. Oh, there goes the flag. Yeah, I think that's the right call. I think he may have been stopped.
Intentional grounding on the offense, number 12. Loss of down.
I was going to say that the one thing, you can't get sacked, but then to add insult to injury to throw the ball away, and the loss of down and the penalty.
Well, and you back up now for a longer field goal, and I think the reason that was called is it didn't look like the ball went beyond the line of scrimmage. So it looked like the proper call to me.
So this attempt is going to come from 35 yards away. And he got it. Henry, 35 yards with the field goal. So the Huskers take the lead at the 12:08 mark of the first half, 17-14. Well, we got it all for you today. We even have today and yesterday's menu. Turkey yesterday, buffalo today, say the Husker faithful. And they have just put 17 unanswered points on the board to take the lead in this ball game.
The momentum in this building and the energy has changed, has it not? I mean, Gear has that runaway touchdown, a misdirection. Sumler walks in. There was the 44-yard pass to this guy Smith, and it was not looking good for the homestand.
Nope, an early 14-0 lead as here's the kickoff. Driving spinner, and this one's going to come down at the 6-yard line to Smith. Look out. Cuts back into the middle, and he's loose. 45-50, and finally is caught and knocked down by Kamak. Wes Kamak on the special teams. And if Kamak doesn't get him, he's going to take it the distance for about 94 yards for a touchdown.
Well, if you're a Buffalo fan, it is so nice to see Josh Smith. He's battled some shoulder injuries this year. They've been trying to get some consistency out of him in practice and see it come to the field. They have to have this guy go forward in the next couple of years and be an explosive guy because they just don't have many.
57 yards on the kick return, so excellent field position. And it's Tyler Hansen who comes in at quarterback. Hansen will keep the football. Turns it up, has 5, has 8, and then he gets whacked out of bounds. Jack Arute, let's check with you on the sideline.
Guys, keep your eyes on number 66, Blake Behrens, the redshirt freshman 300-pounder that plays guard for Colorado. He was a little gimpy in the series before this one, and so while the defense was out there trying to defend against Nebraska, he went to the locker room. It is a tweaked knee, but he's back out playing.
Well, they need him, as you said, only a redshirt freshman. But a tough kid, and he had a paving block on one of their touchdown runs today. And now Nebraska is going to call a timeout. So we'll take it with them. 11:35 left until halftime. Huskers by 3. But once again, the Buffaloes are driving. 35 left until halftime. And the Buffaloes with a second down at the Nebraska 31-yard line, all set up by Josh Smith's 57-yard kick return. Quarterback draw, has 5, still on his feet, counted off at about 7. He'll have the first down plus 3, tackled by Tenars. But it's time now for our weekly Aflac trivia question.
First down at 10, Colorado. Ball is at 23-yard line.
Here's the duck, and here's the Aflac trivia question. Who was the head coach of the winning team the last time a Big 12 North team won the conference championship? Who was the head coach of the winning team the last time a Big 12 North team won the championship? Hawkins back in the game at quarterback, and he hands it off on a sweep, and there's Sumler. And for a moment, he was loose there, or looked as though he was drawing a bead on the open field, and Blake Lawrence came over to finally stop him and knock him out of bounds at around the 17-yard line.
Well, this offensive line for Colorado, so shorthanded. A lot of freshmen, sophomore Behrens, who's been battling the injury today,
just limping down the field.
And they just have no depth. But we talked about Ndamukong Suh and how dominant he is. This offensive line's done a pretty nice job slowing that big body down.
Yeah, he only has 1 quarterback hurry. No tackles in the ball game as yet. Second down and short. Hawkins looking for the end zone and almost intercepted. Kohler is the man who almost picked off the football. It looked like Gear that they were throwing to in the back of the end zone again.
Number 75, 10-yard penalty, second down.
Well, they're going to get Daniel Sanders working one-on-one against Suh. And as Suh went down, Sanders did not let go of him, and that is what they call a big penalty. Yeah, you could see 75 over there to the right. Not much of a hold, but when you fall on, the key is don't fall on the guy.
Gear actually did a nice job of playing defensive back. Otherwise, that one would have been intercepted by Kohler. And it's Tyler Hansen back in the ball game at quarterback. Second down and long. Blitz coming up the middle. Hansen is going to be sacked. They're going to knock him down for a loss at around the 20, let's call it the 30-yard line, and it'll be third down Colorado. They're going to take it to the 13 for the first.
And you have to think first down if you're Colorado, because the kicking game for Colorado, field goals have been horrendous this year. Eric Goodman is 4 of 13 on the season. And so what I think here, you can think about a screen or maybe a draw or something like that to cut this in half, because I think you might want to go for it on fourth.
Third down. Hawkins in the game at quarterback. Linebacker blitz coming in the middle. Throws single coverage on the outside. Has it complete at the 20. And that is Cody Crawford, the senior wide receiver out of San Diego Torrey Pines. Formerly a walk-on, has turned into the most consistent receiver that they have.
And had they picked up 2 or 3 more yards, you have to think that Colorado would go for it, because Eric Goodman has just not had a very good season, and all of the kickers.
You see the numbers, 5 of 16. This one's going to be placed down at the 28-yard line. So 38-yard attempt. He got the distance and he hit it. Squeezed it in on the left side. 37 yards. That is a season long for him. Well, let's take a look now with the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, it started out off with a bang for Colorado. Ryer Gear catches, because of a blown assignment, the longest offensive play of the year. And then McNeil, a real surprise this year for Nebraska offensively, a guy that they didn't expect to have much of a season, has turned into a nice downfield threat.
So Goodman feeling good about himself, and he should. That's a season long for him, and boy did his football team need it. That ties this ball game at the 9:08 mark.
Colorado closing in on a season high of points in a Big 12 game. Their highest was 28 against Iowa State in Big 12 competition.
You know, the interesting thing about Goodman, when he played at Wyoming, his career long was 52 yards. So the consistency thing is what's gone away from him. Short kick taken by one of the up backs and across the 35 to the 37-yard line, and the Huskers will take it over with very good field position. Lawson was the man making the catch. Well, tomorrow afternoon on ABC, number 4 against number 20, Florida at Florida State, or some will see Maryland at Boston College. College football presented by Best Buy as a part of Rivalry Week, presented by Samsung Mobile on ABC tomorrow. Check your local listings to see which of those 2 games that you'll be receiving. Hello into the ball game. Ron Franklin, Ed Cunningham, Jack Root coming to you from a sold-out, as usual, Memorial Stadium in Lincoln. 279 straight times. Hello turns it back inside, goes across the 40.
Well, that Florida State game weighs heavily for the Big 12, especially the Big 12 South, because there is the possibility. Oklahoma, Texas has already finished their season winning, but Florida and/or Alabama lose, Florida to Florida State or Alabama to Auburn, which can happen. Those are rivalry games. Oklahoma defeats Oklahoma State tomorrow night. The Big 12 South winner then wins the conference championship. You could have 2 Big 12 South teams, whoever's left out and the champion, go to the BCS title game.
Kansas pass complete to number 44.
And let's go down to the sideline and Jack Root.
Guys, when you watch the performance of Joe Gantz, earlier I asked Sean Watson what makes him so good. And he said, Jack, I know it's a coaching cliche, but it's like having an extra coach out on the field. He says he's managed to get the game to slow down. We're both on the same page. He said, in fact, consider this fact. In the last 4 games, guys, he hasn't missed a single read at the line. How about that?
It's pretty high percentage here, Jack. 8 of 9 for 125 yards and 2 touchdowns today, and he has hit 8 in a row. As this running play is going to go for 5 yards to the 45. Hello to carry, and Harrod making the stop. for the Buffaloes.
I give a lot of credit to Bo Pelini coming in. You come in and things were so bad at the end of the Bill Callahan era. To have the guts to keep Sean Watson around and know that they had to do so much on the defensive side, and knowing that Sean Watson, of course, he was at Colorado, and Bo said it, spent a year at Oklahoma, so he was aware of him as a coach. But I thought that was a really gutsy move to do that. A lot of guys just want to flush everybody.
From a continuity standpoint, it made all the sense in the world. And the kids, you know, gave them a great appreciation. Under pressure, Gant's going to run it. 40, 35, does not go down, and Moeller is there to put him down hard at around the 31-yard line.
Well, Colorado got caught with all of their backs towards the line of scrimmage. And once Gantz pulled it down, he realized he had all long routes and all the defensive backs had their backs turned, so he gets a big gainer because of the coverage of Colorado.
So it's a gain of 13 yards. It's first down at the 32. Clock runs. We're now under 7 minutes to play in this opening half. Huskers 17, Buffaloes 17. Huskers heavy favorites in this one. Hayden will take it straight ahead. That's a gain of about 5 yards. And it's very simple. It doesn't look like he's doing that much, but it's 5 yards a chunk. And when you're averaging that, Ed, you just keep running it.
Well, and this is a young man that they weren't sure what they had with him. And it was interesting what Sean Watson was talking about with Helu was he's learned how to manage the game, almost like a quarterback. Take what they give you, don't turn it over. He had some troubles last year with turnovers at the end of the year. But his development, of course, you mentioned that Marlon Lucky is out, has really been a key to them being able to run this type of offense.
Second down and 5. And now we're under 6 minutes to play as they are eating up yardage and the clock. Helu hit with an ankle high tackle, but not before he gets about 3. And it'll be third down and 2 this time. Jeff Smart from the middle linebacking spot. You can see Murtha out there blocking as well. Hard to miss light at 6'7", 310 pounds. One of the seniors announced and introduced here to come out and receive a big ovation and also to be greeted by his family.
Guy who's been battling some injuries, just as Marlon Lucky.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate this young man can't play. Another guy who's going to get a lot of chances at the next level, but just a shame he can't play in his last game.
Helu now 11 carries, 46 yards. Third down and 2. Looking over the middle, got a man wide open, and that is Holtz. He just settled down, found the crease, settled down, made the reception, and it was just an easy pitch and catch. And with that, they've moved the sticks. And the most important thing is they're keeping the Buffalo offense off the field.
Holt really seems like he's got a good grasp of everything. He was the guy who knew how to run the route so he wouldn't be called on the touchdown to Swift. It was almost a pick route, but he didn't quite set the pick. Good blocking downfield.
He's been out for a couple of weeks with an injury, and I know they are glad to have him back. Gantz, by the way, has hit 9 in a row, Ed.
He's found that rhythm, hasn't he?
Yep. First down from the 15. Helu slows, then puts on the burners and takes it to the 10. And guess how many yards he gained?
5 or 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's like 5 yards every time. I mean, on first down particularly.
Well, and I would think here on second, remember the last time that Nebraska got down here, they got stuck in mud a little bit. And they kept going back to the zone read play. I would think maybe a zone read and try to get Mike McNeil or possibly Young, the other tight end, open, running towards the middle of the end zone.
Second down at the 10-yard line. Clock at 4:02, 4:01. Gantz pitches the ball back. Helu, can he turn the corner? Yes. He has the first down. Yep, he's going to have the first down. They will spot him at about the 4.5-yard line. Sean Moeller made the tackle and possibly saved a touchdown.
Moeller did an excellent job of inside-out pursuit. I think that Helu does just walk into the end zone there. He made him run all the way to the outside and lost his balance a little bit headed for out of bounds. But Moeller, of course, we saw him earlier have to try to cross the field to cover McNeil.
This is the 10th play of the drive coming up. Helu, the lone setback again. They're not worried about the clock. It's now at 3.5 minutes and ticking. Blitz comes up the middle. Halu works his way. Going to have a couple, maybe 3. In fact, he's down to about the 1.5-yard line. Jeff Smart will make the tackle, but he is very close to the end zone line.
And I think Colorado ought to think about using one of these 3 timeouts. I'm always a fan of, it looks inevitable that Nebraska is going to score at least a field goal. This clock, if I'm Nebraska, just start letting this melt away a little bit. So if I'm Colorado, think about maybe using one.
Well, the clock continues to run down just outside the 1-yard line. 2nd down. Left side, did he make it in? Castile is close, but he didn't get in. Sophomore out of LaPorte, Texas, just south of Houston. Moeller makes still another tackle. Moeller needs us following him around. He has record-setting days, it seems like, every time we have done his games this year.
And I don't think Nebraska should try to go outside here. I think straight ahead, absolutely dead ahead, Gans on a quarterback sneak. Do not try to run east and west here. Go north and south.
Huskers. Sue with the block. When we get the replay, keep an eye at the fullback position, and it was number 93. And you could hear the concussion from the hip all the way up here.
Well, he's already got 1 touchdown catch on the year. Now he gets a helmet sticker for a big block.
Oh, man. You're a linebacker looking at that guy coming even to defensive end. Here's the kick. 7:05 taken off the clock on that drive. So with 2:03 left until halftime, Huskers by 7, 24-17. So we are back 24-17, our new score. And how about the defender playing offense?
Well, if you want to see, you always hear mismatches for a 6'5 receiver versus a 5'7 corner. How about a 300-pound fullback as we run it, and let's freeze it right there. That's a 5'7", 180-pound cornerback, Chappelle Brown. But you know what? Brown did his job.
Yeah, he did.
He held contain. He may have gotten pushed out of there, but that would definitely go down the books as a mismatch.
He probably felt like if he's ever been in a landslide in Colorado, that it was something akin to that. Or it looked like a landslide coming at him. Henry to kick it off. 7-point lead by the Huskers. High coverage game. Ball is fumbled. I believe Nebraska has recovered. High spinner. Hard to catch, and it came off the shoulder pad of the man who came up to receive it. It is Nebraska football with 1:59 left until halftime.
Well, that was Maurice Cantrell, who was an upback. An excellent kick by Henry.
Matthew May made the recovery for Nebraska.
Well, you do that pooch kick because you don't want to kick it to Josh Smith, because Josh Smith has had a couple of big returns, and so Cantrell has to go up. Not used to handling the ball. Cantrell was a former linebacker, so not great hands, and a nice break for Nebraska.
Now let's see if the Huskers can turn this into points. That last drive was 7:02. You see the turnovers on the season. Halu cuts it back, and this one's going to be a gain of about 4 yards. Lucas on the tackle. And now let's send you to New York and John Saunders in our Times Square studio.
And it's a Sports Center right now powered by Vizio. Jordan Jefferson doing the job for LSU. This is second touchdown pass of the game. 32 yards to Brandon LaFell as LSU is in a rout right now.
Well, that's surprising. They're down, and then all of a sudden they catch fire.
Yeah, kind of like that game against Troy. Had to score 30 points in the fourth quarter with about 400 people left in the building.
That's true to say, which nobody saw.
Yeah. And Nebraska now hurrying up a little bit. Minute 30, they came out pretty quickly there. Incomplete pass. But 2 timeouts. with clock stopping now with out of bounds, incomplete, and first downs. This is an eternity on this side of the field.
Third down, the line to make is the 26. Gantz looking, still looking, under pressure, and the ball is batted down as the pass was thrown. And the pressure, that was Brad Jones who was all over it.
Well, and this one, they're going to go into the film room and see a missed opportunity. Watch Holt run like he's going to run an out cut and then cut it right up to the outside, and they never found him.
Boy.
And it was the pressure. It was pressure that got Gans because he was looking that way, but that was a lofted up touchdown if they would have gotten protection.
Well, this field goal attempt is going to come from 50 yards away. In fact, it's just beyond the 40. We'll see if they say 50 or 51. Tried to run a fake, pitched the ball back, and it's picked off by number 3, Jimmy Smith. And Smith will take it into the end zone for a touchdown, Colorado. And the sideline on this side of the field, look at the Buffs coming on the field. They got about 20 guys out there right now. No flags by the official. They're calling it a change of teams. But boy, what a celebration, 58 yards.
And you have to wonder why you're running such a risky play. You've got momentum. You're at home. It was a long one to pick up anyway. Jimmy Smith made a great play, but just not so sure you need to run such a risky play in that situation if you're Nebraska.
Extra point attempt by Goodman. So the Huskers, as he knocks it home, you talk about squandering an opportunity with a capital S. 1:11 left until halftime. We're tied again, now at 24. Boy, Jimmy Smith picks off 58 yards. It's called a fumble return. We're going to show you a couple of different versions of this because it should have been down at the line of scrimmage unless they went to the officials before the ball game and explained it for one reason. On a play like that, when the kicker leaves a posture as being a kicker, all of a sudden the holder becomes a ball carrier. His knee's on the ground. That play's dead.
Yep. And the kicker did move too early.
Yes, he did. That's the reason Jimmy Smith read it the way he did. Paul, and he's going to be tackled at around the 36-yard line.
Well, let's go back and take a look and exactly what Ron is talking about. Watch Henry. He starts to move, and right now Wesh is a ball carrier. So you're right. Absolutely,
he is down.
Yep. And the flip side of that is that's why Jimmy Smith saw it. Jimmy Smith reads this perfectly, and it was because Henry had moved too early. And he said, well, I'm not going to continue my path to block it. I see what the kicker is doing. So a very risky call when you're up 7 at home and poorly executed. 7 points for Colorado. This game has totally changed again.
Gantz throws the pass complete. Halo, and he will get out of bounds after a gain of about 8 to 9 yards. So the Aflac trivia question, which we gave you just a bit ago, and that is, who was the head coach of the winning team the last time a Big 12 North team won the conference championship?
My only guess is Gary Barnett, possibly.
At Colorado, you're right.
Oh, wow.
Bill Snyder, Kansas State in 2003.
And he'll get a chance to try to add to that now.
Got this pass complete over the middle. Across midfield, Todd Peterson, and he is being tackled at the 40-yard line.
And now Nebraska, they just have to settle in. And now they're in their hurry-up offense because as soon as the clock restarts, they got to snap it.
Great protection this time. Now it breaks down. Gantz running toward the sideline, and he gets out of bounds to stop the clock with 34 seconds left. Coming up on the Capital One halftime report, John Saunders and Doug Flutie will have highlights and scores.
I think the Jimmy Smith play will show up as a highlight on a couple of different shows through the weekend. Of course, everyone remembers the LSU last year ran that same play.
Somebody in the truck sent a note up that a holder is allowed. I'm sorry. In the rules I have read, once you don't have a kicker there, he becomes a ball carrier. That ball hit the defender. Intended for Nate Swift. Gardner McKay not only had close coverage, very close coverage.
Yeah, not so sure that he didn't get away with. Swift runs a wonderful route, starts coming back. Well, that ball was just thrown to the inside. If anything, it was uncatchable. So I know the crowd wanted it, but good no call. Nebraska they're the best team in the country for time of possession.
Yeah, it's going to be sacked at the 45. Brad Jones. Jones and Moeller have really been good in this first half. 3 times the quarterback has been sacked in the first half. And we have the clock running with 12 down to 11 and now 10 seconds.
And Colorado not using any of their timeouts is really shocking to me. Why not make Nebraska have to punt this? It's a change of possession type play. You could get a block. You could get a big return. We've already seen Josh Smith be a factor in this game. And now they've given Nebraska a chance to take one throw into the end zone. I think that Colorado mismanaged this. Got a little shell shocked here at the end.
Well, he spent his life caring for the sick, but couldn't save his own. We celebrate a hero's life by giving his family the new start to a dream life. Extreme Makeover Home Edition, all new Thanksgiving Sunday at 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock Central on ABC.
If Colorado had used one of their 3 or 2 of their 3 timeouts, there'd be somewhere in 30 seconds left here. So even if Nebraska would have to punt it away, instead of now, they can roll Gans out. They have 4 receivers, 2 to the left, 2 to the right, and now they can throw one towards their own end zone, and who knows what can happen, but it's certainly going to be the last play unless there's a penalty on Colorado.
And of course, Colorado goes into that deep drop with the secondary. 3 people have deployed to the 5-yard line. Gans looking. Did he get it away before? I tell you, this,
yeah, that should be a penalty. There's no 2 ways about it.
Helpless receiver with a shot. Niles Paul.
Yeah, that is a penalty by definition. That is one of the rules that they wanted to really enforce this year, and Patrick Menke got away. And Bo Pelini should have his hat off. I'm surprised he hasn't thrown it on the ground and kicked it, because that should have been called, and Nebraska should have another play after a 15-yard personal foul penalty. It's a defenseless player.
That's exactly right, and that's
a bad miss call. That's a safety issue. And it not only is it head-to-head, it's a defensive player on defensive player of Niles Paul. They missed it both ways. Should be down, but I guess what they did with LSU last year.
There's a liberal interpretation. Yeah, we'll talk about it in just a moment. This Niles Paul, who will bring it back around the 21. The Pacific Life Game Summary.
Well, for Nebraska, it has become offensively about a lot of ball control. It's almost unbelievable, that time of possession, but that's because Colorado had so many big plays. What was it, 4 plays to start the game and 2 touchdowns?
That's it. Both were second down plays. One went for 68, the other went for 44, and all of a sudden they're up 14-0. Hippolyte is now wearing number 76. He is lining up at right defensive tackle. He had a jersey that was torn in the first half, and this is the only one that they had to put him in. Halu is going to be hit and stopped for no gain. Jackaroo, let's check with you.
Well, Ron, I want to take you back to that fake field goal, the grab and go by Stewart that ended up with the TD. I talked to Dan Hawkins, and listen to this one. He told me going in, he said, Jack, we saw that in film. I can only think that it was back at the LSU days when Bo Pelini had part of that as the play call for special teams last year. He said, so what did we do? We practiced that grab and go all week. Nice job there, guys.
Oh, I'm telling you. And we talked about the interpretation. We're certainly not arguing with the officials. When the coach who ran it, Les Miles, was at Oklahoma State, the Big 12 officials told him not to run it. They'd call the ball down. He ran it in the SEC, and it was accepted. Pass complete at the 40-yard line to Holt. And let's go back down to Jack.
All right, now let me give you Bo Pelini's side of the story. I also caught up with him, and I said, what about that fake field goal? He said, bonehead move of the year. He said, we should have called out of that when we saw the formation that Colorado put forward for that special teams play. He said, I'm not worried, though. He says, the team has played well. He said, we just got to do more of the same in the second half.
Yeah, well, Bo has always been, he cuts to the chase, doesn't he, Jack? And he said, bonehead move. Well, you could see the movement by Hippolyte, and he ran right by the ball carrier, Halo, and he's loose. Hurdles a man, 45-40, and down to the 35-yard line. Anthony Perkins finally stopped the whirling dervish and hurdling Halo.
It's almost become every week you see a play like this. Beanie Wells.
Number 76.
Hippolyte runs inside of Slauson. Watch this.
Did him a favor, too.
Yeah. That's Gardner McKay. Well, there's a rule for defensive players. Keep your head up.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, McKay went to duck his head to make the tackle, and Halou couldn't have timed it any better.
Well, Halou stays in the ball game at tailback after that 24-yard run. Gets it again, turns the corner, and he's going to have 5, almost 6 yards more. Anthony Perkins again on the tackle.
You know, I'll go back for a second, Ron, to that field goal. The strict rule says when that kicker moves, that the guy with the ball is now a ball carrier, knee down, it's over. But they went back last year after that LSU, what we've been told, and they looked at it and said we now have a more liberal interpretation if the kicker's a runner or a kicker.
Show a flag down on this play, and we'll check it out and see what it says. Yes, Rogers Redding is the head of officials in the SEC. He also is on the national committee as far as rules. And, you know, Rogers.
Legal substitution on the defense. 12 men on the field when the ball is snapped.
Wow.
5-yard penalty. Second down.
Anyway, just to put a period on it, Rogers, you know, it was accepted in the SEC. I called him when it happened. I said, hey, Les was not allowed to run that play in the Big 12. Why in the SEC? And he gave me again the interpretation, and it's a tad more liberal. But I mean, hey, that's the way they see it, and that's as long as it's consistently called, yes, then fine. But it sure cost Nebraska. When you look at that one angle, Jimmy Smith did not think he was a kicker.
No, never.
I mean, he never wavered. Big opening, Halo, and he'll take it down inside the 10 to the 9.5-yard line.
Well, there has been some huge lanes, and the problem here is he runs for more than 5 yards.
Yeah.
It seemed like every time they ran this play in the second quarter, it's 5 yards. But this one, Halou gets into that secondary awfully quick, and Menke, the freshman safety, has to come up and make the tackle and save the touchdown.
So again, they continue to work the clock. Castile checks in now with tailback. The sophomore out of LaPorte, Texas. Quentin wears number 19. And he gets the inside handoff, and he is going to be knocked down for a loss of about a half yard by Nicholas.
Well, the only play that Nebraska has run, this is the third time in this situation. First and goal from outside the 8. Halou over there looks like he's battling either a shoe malfunction or are they looking at his ankle. The people are down working on his leg. The way he's tapping around, he may have gotten banged up.
So it's second down and goal. The ball now at the 10-yard line. Option play, pitches it back, and nothing doing. Castile is bumped out of bounds. When Gantz runs that option play into the boundary, the longer you stay parallel with the line of scrimmage, you're playing right into the hands of the defense. You're going to make somebody commit.
Yeah, and Nebraska has done this all 3 times. They've gotten to first and goal from the 8, 9, 10 in that area, which is a difficult place to score from. They go to almost exclusively the run game. I'd like to see them allow their senior. The one time they let Swift run the corner out, they scored a touchdown. Let them go back to that. You've got a senior quarterback who's playing at a high level. Put it in his hands, throwing it to Swift.
And now Gantz is going to call a timeout to stop the clock.
Timeout on the field.
10:58 left, third quarter. Tied at 24, and the Huskers are threatening. We'll be right back. Nice job of editing down there, guys. Really a good re-tease. Some super action. We've had a lot of it today. Backside pressure, steps up into the pocket. Flag comes down and he throws it complete to Castile. I think we're going to get an offensive holding against Nebraska.
We've got a hold against Nebraska. Now the question becomes,
Holding on the offense, number 65, 10-yard penalty, third down.
I think you think about declining this and making it 4th and goal from the 7.
You know, yeah, this penalty comes from where the
Well,
let's see where they step it off.
It looked like they only stepped it back to the 21. So you're right. I thought it was going to be a bigger penalty because it comes from the spot of the foul.
Yeah.
And the foul was on, it looked to me, about the 16-yard line. So Nebraska just got a huge break. I think that Colorado, if they had known it'd only be at the 21, they would have declined it and made it 4th and goal from the 7.
Now here comes 3rd down. Still 3rd down and goal as they scrimmage down from the 21. Gantz looking, throws it out in the flat. And that's Niles Paul, and he will take it to around the 9-yard line.
So we're right about where we would have been had it been declined.
That's right. Yeah. That's exactly right. And Henry will come on and try to break this tie at the. We're about to go under 10 minutes left in this 3rd quarter.
Let's watch the snap this time. TJ O'Leary threw one high on the last field goal, and Wesh made a wonderful catch and hold. Let's see if they've corrected that.
27-yard attempt. And he converts this one.
And Henry kick is good.
So with 9 minutes and 49 seconds left, 3rd quarter, Huskers go back on top, 27-24. So we are back. Here's an interesting number for you. The Huskers are on top. The last offensive snap for Colorado came at 9:08 left in the 2nd quarter. Of course, they scored on the fumble return as Smith grabs this kickoff and then heads up the middle out across the 35. Folks, that is a total. Nebraska's had the ball 14 minutes and 19 seconds since Colorado last touched it, almost an entire quarter.
A lot of people say, well, time of possession isn't that big of a deal. Well, this game it hasn't been.
On Thanksgiving Sunday, count your blessings like the housewives do. One's dating her best friend's ex-husband. One is covering up her son's crime, and one's husband may regain his sight. An all-new Desperate Housewives, Thanksgiving Sunday at 9, 8 Central on ABC. Well, the Husker Nation trying to stir up some action here as we see Scott, but not somewhere. I beg your pardon. We haven't seen Scott since that one carry.
Yeah. Well, they tried that one throw down the field that was
that's
dropped,
right. We did.
But running the ball, Darryl Scott's got a little ways to go, the true freshman. He still hasn't quite figured out this level of ball, and it looks like they're going to go with Demetrius Sumler the rest of the way.
He had 12 yards on that carry, so he moved the sticks. Hawkins throws it complete out in the flat, and a nice open field tackle as McKnight made the catch and was ridden down immediately by Murillo.
You know, it's interesting. You were talking about the crowd getting into it. This crowd is one of the smartest football crowds you'll ever see. They realized the team needed a little momentum. I was lucky enough in 1991 as a senior at Washington to come play in this building. To this day, it's the best athletic contest I've ever been involved in. We were lucky enough to win, and on the way out of the stadium, everyone wanted to shake our hand and congratulate us.
You know, that's the thing that I've heard so much about Husker fans, and that is that they are courteous. Besides knowing the game, you know, they salute you when you play well. As Steinkuhler steps up to make the tackle on Sumler here, and it's going to be 3rd down and almost 10 yards for the first.
And this crowd also knows the game. I'll never forget the first time our quarterback went to do an audible. They knew it, and the decibel level went through the roof, and all of a sudden you couldn't hear the audible. We had to make an adjustment in game. It never happened to us before. It's amazing.
3rd down. They need to take it down to the 43-yard line of Nebraska. Huskers lead it by 3, 27-24. Blitz coming over the middle. Gaz the catch, and guess who again? It's Gear, who had that long touchdown reception on the 2nd play of the ball game this afternoon. 18 yards.
Well, you've got Gear working one-on-one. He's going to run down and make the cut. Watch the defender coming over the top, though, and Hawkins feeds this ball right in there. Excellent job by Gear using his big body, but boy, that's a tight fit.
I'm telling you.
And that time working against Durrell, who was the young man who missed this assignment coverage earlier in the game.
Who was at Workman, almost got a hand on it. So first down again, Buffaloes, as they scrimmage from the 35. Hawkins steps up, drills it, has a man, made the catch at the 14-yard line, and it's Ryan Dehan, a freshman out of Poway, California.
Dehan's the guy that Colorado has been kind of waiting to come along. He's such a good, fluid guy.
22 yards on that pass play.
What a nice catch. Good job bringing it in, and good throws.
I started to say there are two throws that were just, within an inch either way. They're not complete. Nice job by Hawkins.
And the Colorado coaches have to be awfully proud. This team has not flinched on the road, needing this win to get bowl eligible.
Well, short this time as Sumler gains a couple, tackled by Pierre Allen, the sophomore out of Denver.
And the thinking for this man has to be, and I know that Eric Goodman has made one field goal this year, but as bad as it's been, on the road, down 3, they went for it 4 times on 4th down against Oklahoma State. I would think that's in their play calling, thinking second down may be a chance to try something like a post route by your slot receiver, McKnight.
Second down, they scrimmage from the 11-yard line. Hawkins overthrows this one, looking for Sumler, his running back.
And it's Ndamukong Suh, who caused Hawkins to have to come off. They had both receivers to the right. Good numbers.
1-1, a touchdown and a pick. Gantz, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. And both of these quarterbacks have not missed a great number of passes this afternoon. Third down, line to make is the 3. Colorado was 2 of 4 on third down conversions. Nebraska comes with the blitz up the middle, has a man right over the middle, caught at the 5, and he's down to about the first down marker, Steve Melton. Boy, this is going to be tight right here. I think they're going to have to bring the chains in.
We saw this blitz earlier. 2 nickelbacks coming right through. Watch Sanders, the center. There's 3 guys. They don't have enough blockers to pick them all up, so he tries to slow down the rusher and gives just enough time.
They do not have it. They did not measure. They can tell from down in the field level. 4th down, Colorado to go for it. Handoff right up the middle, and touchdown Buffalo. Sumler smacks it into the end zone, and all of a sudden the Buffaloes are back on top.
Excellent call. That short. Think about going for on the road anyway, but all the struggles with their kicking game. And Sumler's my guy. I'm riding Sumler the rest of the way. When he gets inside, he's 5'10", 220-pound bruiser. I'm going to ride him the rest of the way and see what happens.
Goodman with the extra point attempt. Good pass, and he knocks this one home. And with 5 minutes and 39 seconds left in the third quarter, 31-27 on the strength of this run by Sumler just a moment ago. We'll be right back. 31-27. And again, I just would not have thought of a shootout. I just would not the way things have gone for either one of these teams this year. This one's going to be returned from the 3. That's Niles Paul. Loses the ball, picked up with a perfect bounce by a teammate at the 32-yard line, Chris Brooks.
How much of a deep breath do you think Paul is taking? Chris Brooks could not have been in a better position.
There we go, bang. And it comes right up to him.
Nice job by Marcus Burton getting in there, but that shouldn't knock it out. Those are things that young players. Paul's a young man that has a ton of ability. The coaches are just kind of waiting for that light to come on. Don't take it away from Burton, but that shouldn't have been enough to knock that ball free.
So they scrimmage from their own 32-yard line with 5:31 showing third quarter. Halu weaves his way, and this time only for a couple. Tomorrow afternoon, catch the LG Skins game on ABC at two-time defending champion Stephen Ames, three-time major champion Phil Mickelson, five-time PGA Tour winner KJ Choi, and U.S. Open runner-up Rocco Mediate compete for the $1 million purse. The LG Skins game on ABC tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. Wide receiver screen. McNeil. They throw it to the tight end, and Jackaroo on the first down play. Let's go down and check with you.
You know, Ron, you're talking about the back and forth here. You would think that after that score, the Colorado sidelines would be up, maybe a little high. Not necessarily so. What about the Nebraska sidelines? You'd think they might be down a little bit. It's the first time in a long time that I've witnessed a football game where both sides have remained very neutral. They haven't been up, they haven't been down. You get the sense like they know they're in kind of like a heavyweight fight.
I think you're right, Jack. The only thing that we have determined today, and I think you can book it, never again in his career will Bo Pelini go with a fake field goal.
Well,
never again.
Well, he doesn't want to have it as the bonehead move of the year either, you know.
Yeah. Well, but I give him a lot of respect for admitting to you, Jack. I think that's the thing. Bo Pelini, and there were some things that happened in the middle of the season. They had a 3-game losing streak. He was caught on camera in that Oklahoma game, berating a couple of players. People called him out. But the one thing, the players respect him. They trust him. And the big thing is he'll take responsibility. Yeah. He's not afraid to say, I messed up, we messed up. He doesn't put it on his players all the time. And that will gain a lot of confidence from your troops.
Well, what would he say? He said, I don't point fingers, I'll point the thumb, meaning at myself. Got this one complete over the middle. That's enough for the first down as he throws to Halu.
And Roy is having a heck of a nice game.
He is.
Documented earlier that Marlon Lucky, unfortunately, the senior's not able to go. But Halu came out the last drive, and he was kind of bouncing around on that right foot. But he is over 450 rushing yards in his last 4 games. He had 157 against Oklahoma. And here's the good news for the Cornhuskers. It's just a sophomore.
That's right. A little play action, and that ball is knocked down. How many knockdown passes have we seen today? And that was Beatty who got a hand on it. I had to wait until he moved his hair a little bit there so I could pick up exactly.
And this is one thing that Ron Collins, the defense coordinator, does. He puts a lot of his linebackers, Beatty and Brad Jones. We saw Brad Jones earlier at that defensive end trying to get the speed out there. And Colorado, if there's a team that's playing for more than the other, it's Colorado in this game.
A lot riding for them. You're exactly right.
Just like last year, they need a win to go bowling against Nebraska in the last regular season game.
Halu, little misdirection, takes it off the left side, has 5, counted off at 8, and now 9. It'll be second and short. Stingle on the tackle, and McNeil, give him credit for a nice block.
When you're starting to see what a good spread you out power run game does. Remember, I made the joke about, well, the problem is he's not running for 5 anymore, he's running for 9 and 10. The defensive line for Colorado is starting to get a little worn out here. They haven't been able to roll a lot of guys in. They don't have a lot of depth. Brandon Nicholas, who had a thumb injury, not able to do much. And George Hippolyte has been in almost every single snap. These guys are wearing down a bit.
Well, they bring the linebacker, and on the running play, it'll be good for the first down with Castile. John Saunders, let's check with you at our Times Square studio.
Ron, and our nominee for the AT&T ESPN All-America Player of the Week is Colt McCoy against Texas A&M, 23 of 28, 311 yards, 2 touchdowns through the air, 2 on the ground. Text VOTE to 51234 on your AT&T wireless phone to vote your chance to win a trip to the national championship.
Okay, John, thanks very much. Our situation, Buffalo's lead at 31-27, but the Huskers just will not say die. They just keep coming back, and on that running play, they're about 2 yards short of the first down.
And this offensive line for Nebraska has started to take over this game, and this is something that Sean Watson coming back. They weren't sure. They knew they had a lot of veterans. Leiden Murtha, guy who's battled some injuries, but some other guys have stepped up. Javario Burks at tackle, and they are starting to take over the front of Colorado.
You know, when I went into the computer to lay out the offensive team, you're right. A lot of people, they got moved around from right tackle, left tackle, from guard to tackle, what have you. So they've got guys that have played. It's not that they are, you know, void of experience. They've got that.
And this guy, Slauson, as one of the offensive linemen,
looks like
is slow to get up. Yep.
Boy, look at this. 41 rushes by Nebraska, 135 yards, 3.3 the average. They just keep pounding it away.
But don't think that this is 1972 Nebraska. This is a whole different type of running game. They have the element of the deep ball with Joe Gans, but this offensive line gives them the ability to run a bunch of different types of running plays.
10th play of the drive coming up right here. And this is just not going to go anywhere on first down. They lose, which is a rare situation because Elu normally does not get at least a yard or two. But Castile got hit behind the line of scrimmage. Hippolyte on the first, along with Jalil Brown.
And again, I think Nebraska finds itself in a place where whenever they get down to this spot in the field, it's like they can really move it between the 20s, but as soon as they get inside the 20 or near the 20, it's like they get stuck in mud. I think it's time for them to try something a little bit different and not run the ball necessarily on the next down.
Huskers not going to be impatient with this one. They're going to let the third quarter run out, and it does. And as we head to the final 15, Colorado 31-27. This presentation of college football presented by Best Buy will continue after this message and a word from our ABC stations. So where you're back, you could see a few clouds out there moving in this direction, but it is supposed to stay dry. It's been a magnificent day. Temperature for this part of the country at almost the 1st of December, you know, mid-40s is not a bad thing.
Well, Nebraska's headed for mid-40s in time of possession. They lead the nation, but this is rather ridiculous. You think it'd be showing up on the scoreboard, but it is not necessarily.
Yeah, well, they gave 7 of them away. Quarterback draw. Gantz at the 10, lost the football, but they're going to say he was down at the 6-yard line. And for those at home wondering what would have happened, that would have been a touchback.
Yeah, the fumble through. Boy, that'd be a big change, wouldn't it?
Oh, I'm telling you, Smart is the man who hits him, and you see the ball just pops out.
And now, unfortunately for Nebraska, they're in that 1st and goal situation that's a little longer than you'd want. Anytime they've tried to run against Dan Hawkins' defense here, they've been stuck. And now looks like they're going to throw it. They're in a more of a throwing formation here.
1st down and goal from the 6. Trying to retake the lead. Gantz, shovel pass. Gets it off to Castile. And Lucas is right there to make the tackle on him immediately.
But I like that call by Sean Watson. It's kind of a reverse option. You know, if it's incomplete, no big deal.
Yep.
But they just needed to try something a little different. They kept trying the zone read, the option into the boundary. Now you're in the middle of the field. Think about maybe 2 wide receivers, and you can run some crossing routes. Not so sure you want to try to run it again. That hasn't been very good to them this distance.
Well, Nebraska continues to just eat up the clock. We just started the 4th quarter, and they've already burned over a minute. Castile gets the pitch, and he's going to walk in, but a flag is down on the far side of the field.
Start on the offense, number 18, 5-yard penalty, 2nd down.
It's Menelik Holt, a guy that we've talked a lot about. How good he's looked mentally in this game.
Yep, he raised up, sure did. And you could see the defender, Jalil Brown, pointing a finger immediately, saying, you.
Yeah, but I think they may have gotten Mike Smith for a hold on that one if they'd let it go. Boy, he had a handful of jersey on that option.
That's only the 5th penalty in this ball game. Quarterback draw. And Gantz is going to go down to around the 4-yard line. Brad Jones is there to make the stop on him.
Well, you're down 4. Plenty of time in the 4th quarter. But if I'm Nebraska fans and they call a run play, I'm not so sure I'm not going to hear some boos if they don't get in here. So Gantz is a good run throw guy. Roll him out to his right where you have 2 receivers bunched together. Let them run some combination routes and give them a run pass option here.
Ball is loose at the 5-yard line. Colorado says they have it.
What a huge error. It was on the play fake.
Colorado football.
Joe Gantz went to run play action, and when he went to stuff the ball to fake it to Quentin Castile, caused the fumble.
Lucas is the man who made the recovery. And as we go to break, one more look. Is this going to be the difference in the ball game? We've got a lot of time left. We'll see. Well, so many of the Husker fans here hoping for a better outcome. That drive, 14 plays, 63 yards, 7 minutes and 54 seconds off the clock, and they come away with 0.
And you wonder the health of Roy Halou, why Castile is in there. That was a mishandling of a play fake. Quarterback's got to hold on to it, but you just wonder if Halou is banged up, and that's why he's not in the ball game down on the goal line.
Sumler gets the handoff and finds an opening, and he's going to squeeze this one for about 6.
Well, when you have miscues like this, doesn't matter what the time of possession is. Jimmy Smith on a fumble return as it is ruled, and then the fumble on the goal line, 3rd and goal as Nebraska was going in for what looked like a go-ahead score. And Jimmy Smith, a couple of huge plays. Young man that Colorado's been waiting for. A very talented guy who battled a lot of injuries with his back and ankles earlier this year.
Darrell Scott back into the ball game at tailback. That's gear in motion. Play action, and Hawkins throws it complete at the 19. And he made the catch. That's good for the first down. Josh Smith.
What a difference a bye week makes for Josh Smith. He was really struggling against Oklahoma State, had some health issues. Let's see if he brought that in.
Yep. Well, yeah.
They may buzz it, but it looks like he had control of the ball to me. Great week and a half of preparation during that bye week, though, has shown up in the kicking game and the passing game for Josh Smith.
On first down, Darrell Scott. He gets whacked. That is Wortman who comes up and puts the lumber to him. Jack Arute, what do you got for us, partner?
Well, you would think after that miscue by Gantz there that maybe there would be a little emotion. Guess what? There was. Joe went over and addressed his offensive line and apologized, and then was interrupted by offensive line coach Barney Cotton. Barney Cotton then told Joe and the line, said, look, wash it out of your mind. We're going to get the ball back, and the next time, put it through. Push it into the end zone. He was pretty hot, guys.
I would imagine. Sumler comes back in the ball game at tailback. 2nd down and 10, Buffaloes. Blitz off the corner, and the pass is in and out of the hands of Sumler.
You know, it's interesting when we talked to Bo Pelini earlier this week and asked him in his first year what he was most impressed about. And he said how the team has hung in there against adversity. Remember, they lost those 3 games in a row, the blowout to Missouri, 2 close ones, overtime to Texas Tech, a close one at home against Virginia Tech, and they've gone 4-1 down the stretch after that. Well, he's going to learn something about his squad right here, right now, and see how they come back from this adversity.
Well, the players on the sideline for Nebraska asking this crowd to get up and make some noise. It is 3rd down and 10. Huskers trail it 31-27. And flags are down, and because of the noise, the players didn't hear the whistles at first.
Prior to the flag, timeout, Colorado. First charge in the second half.
So as you could tell, crowd didn't agree with that, but he probably couldn't hear the timeout being called. We'll be right back. So we are back for the big third down play. 3rd and 10, Colorado. They got to take it to the 29-yard line. You hear the noise from this crowd. Hawkins, heavy pressure, and he goes down. Steinkühler will be credited with the sack.
Steinkühler, another one of the seniors on senior day. Excellent job. Colorado leaves a bunch of people into block, so there's only 2 people in the route. The coverage is good down the field. Steinkühler does a wonderful job. He gets that inside hand position against the guard, throws him to the ground, and the son of an Outland Trophy winner, Dean Steinkühler, makes a big play in his last game in Memorial Stadium.
Suazo with the kick. Lazy spiral, going to be taken. No fair catch at the 41 by Swift. Inside the 30 to the 25-yard line. So put an asterisk by the defensive play of Steinkühler. He was a first-round draft choice way back when I was doing the Houston Order broadcast. His dad was a really good ball player.
Well, and Steinkühler, the younger of the 2, Ty, was one of the guys who got back the famed black shirt, put in his locker before the Kansas State game. It had been gone for almost a year. The black shirt's of course, a great legend here in Nebraska. Had been taken away from the defensive players, but Steinkühler, one of the 11 players who got it back, and the black shirts stood up when they had to. Turnover by your offense, stuff them, get the ball back in good field position.
Well, they got a swing pass right here. Hager was back in the lineup, and he's going to have a gain of close to 5 yards. Mankey comes over to make the tackle. There you see Dean, number 71, his number officially retired. And very quiet young man. We understand, he's just one of those type of guys, very humble, does not want to get credit because of what his father did and because of the name and the legacy that his father left here.
That was an awfully big play. His last time on this turf as a Cornhusker.
Yeah, he'll go with that one for a long time in his mind, in his memory. Halu cuts it back on a good cutback. He's close to the first down. At about the 16.5-yard line, Brad Jones defensively. Well, we've called his name and Moeller a lot today.
Well, and Halu comes off. I get you want to change personnel. And it looks like Jack Arute was reporting from the sideline. It looked like Halu was battling some ribs. Maybe that's why he's coming out.
Yeah. By the way, Jones 8 tackles officially today. Talked about how many times we had called his name. Castillo gets the handoff, and he's knifed under and taken down by Beatty. What a big defensive play.
And I feel like Bo Pelini, he's sending his kicker in. And it was the lost yardage, I think, that's causing this. If that was a no gain or a half a yard, they probably go for it. You're down 4, 8:30, what he's banking on, and I think it's the right call. He's banking that defense is going to go back out, has some momentum, is going to be able to stop Colorado again. I think this is the right choice with the loss.
Well, they try to cut it to 1 point. This is going to be officially a 37-yard attempt. And he got it. So with 8:09 left in the ball game, our new score is Colorado 31 and the Cornhuskers 30. And a reminder, tomorrow night on ABC, number 3 at number 12. That's Oklahoma in Stillwater against Oklahoma State. Saturday Night Football presented by Southwest Airlines as part of the Rivalry Week presented by Samsung Mobile on ABC. Tomorrow night, 8 o'clock Eastern Time.
Well, we already know what's happening in the North. Missouri locked and loaded. But the question is what's going to happen in the South. Texas with an impressive win. Colt McCoy with a great game.
Let me say one thing about Mac Brown. I thought what he did taking Colt out of the ball game and playing his John Childs the entire fourth quarter was really a very classy move, because style points is not loaded with character, is it?
Yeah, and I think what's hurting Texas right now is they played one of the toughest stretches ever in college football, but it happened in the middle of the season. It's unfortunate for Texas that the scheduling may be what hurts them. If it gets to a 3-way tie, Oklahoma, if they beat Oklahoma State, may jump to the top. And it's unfortunate for Texas because I think an argument can be made in their favor very easily. They're the best team in the South.
Here's the kick. I'm a little surprised you're going to kick this one all the way deep to Josh Smith. See what he can come up with. They did a nice job of coverage, though. That's the reason. They were prepared on that kick to get him in the middle and hit him up. People Tiller is the man who is credited with the stop.
And listen to this crowd. They understand how important this defensive stand will be.
This goes back to what we were talking about, the intelligence of this crowd. And like you said, they understand what's at stake right now. And from the get-go, as soon as the Colorado offense comes out, they'll get into it big time.
And
here they come.
Remember how big this is for Colorado. If they can eat some of this clock, win this game, they're going bowling. If not, they're going home. The opposite of what happened in last year's ball game between these two.
In the north end zone to our left, they are standing and cheering. Quarterback draw. Hawkins grabbed behind the line of scrimmage, and that is Sue who is there to make the tackle. They're not booing, they're cheering Sue.
I like the call by Mark Helfrich, the offensive coordinator. You're showing a pass. This is not a guy. Well, you can't let big number 93 go free. He's going to make that. So that's just bad offensive line play for Colorado, because I think that was a good call, knowing that Nebraska was thinking pass was going to get up the field. Unfortunately for Colorado, they struggled up front on that one.
And Dominican Sue, number 93, forces a 1-yard loss, so it's 2nd and 11. 1-point lead, Buffs. They'll run the same play. Hawkins spun down after a gain of a couple. This time it's the other defensive tackle, Steinkuhler. Ty, the senior from right here in Lincoln, gets the stop on that one. Now it's 3rd down.
Yeah, it felt to me like Colorado outthought itself right there. This defensive line it's a little bit of a mismatch up front. You run the same play, and Steinkuhler then makes the play.
So will it be in favor of the defense or the offense? We'll know here in just a couple of seconds. The Buffs break the huddle. Daniel Sanders out over the football. And from a shotgun formation, Hawkins drills it. The ball is caught, and that is Cody Crawford. Almost had it taken away on an intercept. Takes the ball away from the defender. Talk about a play that you put an asterisk by.
And it all started with great protection. This offensive line, they've been showing a little improvement. They've lost 5 guys, and they're too deep throughout the season. But watch the protection of this offensive line. Nate Solder, the left tackle, did a wonderful job. Boy, really tough in the middle, and that allowed Hawkins to step into that throw.
What a nice job of concentration by Crawford. So they move the chains on a huge 3rd down. Sumler goes straight ahead, and he'll have a couple. Now the clock is about to go under 6 minutes. And again, you don't have to become impatient. In fact, to get it down and score, and you milk the clock, then you're in even better shape.
Yeah, if I'm Colorado, I'm letting this thing get down to 4 seconds on the play clock before I snap it. Remember the new rule, it just goes automatically to 40. You don't want to lose momentum because you've got to continue to get first downs, but milk that play clock as much as possible, down to 9.
Got a man in motion. Sumler goes right up the middle, and I'll tell you, from tackle to tackle, the Cornhuskers have really bowed their backs in the last couple of quarters. That's Steinkuhler, who will get credit for still another tackle.
Well, the Buffalo's offensive line is just not getting any push whatsoever. I think that you've got to maybe even think about bringing Tyler Hansen in. If you're going to get to a running game, bring in your running quarterback, because right now nothing's happening between the tackles for Colorado.
Well, listen to the crowd. They know 3rd down. The line to make is the 43. They scrimmage from the 37. Hawkins. Pressure up the middle. Gets the pass away. Has to overthrow it because of the pressure. And it's 4th down. And guess who? Sue, number 93, was putting the pressure on the quarterback.
Remember earlier we saw that TE stunt. Tackle first and second. Watch this time the push up the middle. Usually he's trying to draw the 2 guys so this guy can come free. But when you have the power of Sue, look at him just run right by the guard, Devin Heath. Almost unfair how powerful that man can be.
Suazo with the punt. Very high. Good coverage kick. Wobbly spiral. Fair catch is called for and made at the 26 by Swift. 38 yards in the punt, and happy Thanksgiving to all our camera guys. 31-30. Buffs lead by 1. Huskers about to get the football. We'll be right back. Okay, John, thanks very much. Our situation, Colorado 31-30. They need the victory to go bowling. And for the Cornhuskers, they need 1 point to tie this game, or 3 to win it by a couple as the pass is thrown complete to Peterson. And let's go to the sideline and check in with Jack Arute. Jack?
Well, Ron, you see number 10, Roy Halou, is back in the backfield as an I-back for Nebraska. Here's what's going on. He took a big-time hit when they were down in the 10 as they were driving a couple of series ago, and he injured his ribs. He's been nursing those ribs. He's okay until he falls on the ball. That's why he came out in the last series down in the red zone. Let's see what happens here.
Okay, Jack, with 22 carries and 5 receptions, he has been a busy guy today. He'll get the ball, turns the corner, has the first down, gets out across the 45, had all he could get and runs out of bounds to stop the clock. Jimmy Smith is there to force him out of bounds.
Well, Alex Henry, the field goal kicker. You're down 1. They need to get, you can see that red line. That's the 30-yard line. They're comfortable with him a little farther than that. They creep out even to the 35, but they like to get inside right around that 30. His career long, they think he can go in that 53, 54 range, but right now they'd also like to eat a little bit of clock as well.
Well, it's continuing to run. They did not whistle it down because of going out of bounds. Halou straight up the middle, has 5, has 10, has 15, counted off at 24 yards. Jimmy Smith had to make a touchdown-saving tackle.
Well, the story of this game on both sides for Nebraska has been their offensive and defensive lines taking over the game in the second half. Whenever Colorado tried to run it in the middle, they went nowhere with Steinkuhler and Sue stuffing it. And whenever they run that zone read and zone blocking, it seems like Halou, in the first half they were 4 or 5 yards. Now it's 10, 11, 12 yards per pop.
Credit Keith Williams, number 68. A redshirt sophomore with a key block to spring the running back. But it is going to go the other way this time, and it's going to be very short yardage. Maurice Lucas grabs him in a bear hug and drops him. Right now, let's take a look at the Pacific Life game summary.
Well, we got off to a bang. Seemed like it might have been like 65-51 last year. McNeil matched Gear, the tight end from Colorado, who had a 68-yarder with his 53-yarder. And then Jimmy Smith reads the fake field goal perfectly, gets the fumble return for a touchdown, which tied it up. Sumler, good tough run inside. With Colorado up 1, Nebraska, this defense is just they're tuckered.
Listen,
they are tuckered.
You really got to give a lot of credit to Coach Hawkins and to his staff and the fact that they had worked on special teams because of Bo having been on that staff at LSU and knew that they ran that kind of thing.
And every coach will tell you, you can tell your player something. You've got to practice it. It's got to become muscle memory. And then, you always hear, hey, watch the fake, watch the flip over the head. But if you run it in practice, that's what Jimmy Smith saw. His body had been through it, so it was just muscle memory.
By the way, near the conclusion of today's game, and we're almost there, we'll select a Chevrolet player of the game from each team. Chevrolet will make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund.
And I like Colorado using a timeout there, getting the sense that Nebraska's going to score. They have to save some clock for their offense.
2nd down and 10. You see that Colorado defense cheating toward the line of scrimmage. Heavy pressure. The one thing you can't do right here is to get sacked, and he just did. That is Mankey with the 4th sack of the afternoon by Colorado, and what a huge play here.
Unbelievable how big of a sack that was.
You have to throw it into the stands, whatever.
And Mankey gets lucky because that's a blow to the head to the quarterback. Remember, he's the young man at the end of the half who hit a defenseless wide receiver, but
it's a loss of 15 yards. They were in field goal range.
And they need about 12 to 13 yards, I think, to feel comfortable with the field goal here.
3rd down. Looking, got a man over the middle, settling down and making the catch at the 29. Now they say he did not catch it. McNeil dropped the football. So it's 4th down.
Boy, awfully difficult. If you punt this away, you're looking at the game possibly being over. You've got 2 timeouts. Now, they did not have it. You've got 2 timeouts, but you punt this away. I think Nebraska has to go for it here. It sounds crazy on 4th and 25, but that sack puts you in this position.
Well, Nebraska on 4th downs 0 for 2, and they are now calling a timeout and a little bit more time to talk this one over.
Wow, and you use that timeout, and now you almost have to go for it.
So we'll take a break. Buffaloes by 1. We'll be right back. So we are back. The decision is made. Henry, number 90, is going to come out and try a 57-yard field goal to win this ball game. Actually, there's still 1:50 left. Let's see. They're going to put it down. Yep, at the 47-yard line. So if he were to hit it, it'll go in the books as the longest in school history. This is an attempt of 57 yards. Does he have enough? Is it long enough? He got it!
This was well outside of the range that Bo Pelini told us he thought Henry could kick. He thought it was 52, 53 yards. Who knew?
Well, let me tell you,
that thing would have been good from 57 and a half.
I started to say nothing more.
Yeah.
And Jack Arute made a great point when we were in the timeout that there's not a breath of wind down there. Had there been, that would have been enough to make sure it didn't go through.
Well, and give Bo Pelini credit. He called a timeout, which made them have to go for it. If you punt that ball away after burning the timeout, the game is most likely over. It wouldn't even take a first down necessarily for Colorado to run out the clock. But I thought they may go for the 4th and 25, try to pick up the first, because in our conversations this week with Coach Pelini,
look, Hawk even got a smile on his face.
He's got to respect it. Yeah, absolutely. The young man, sophomore, came through huge, and now is the proud owner of the longest field goal in Nebraska history.
Interesting thing. When he was, we knew during the timeout when the decision had been made, because he looked at his teammates and smiled and said, "I'll get it."
Yep. And
as he walked off the sideline.
Yep. And Colorado didn't ice him, obviously, because now, minute 43, a field goal for them wins it. So now, back to you, Colorado. Let's see if you can answer.
Alex Smith from the 3-yard line. He's not going to make it past the 20-yard line.
Now for Colorado, it's got to be all no. The silent snap count. This place is going to go through the roof. So Hawkins is going to have to move the foot. And remember, Colorado has been terrible in field goals this year. The career long for Goodman, 52 yards while he was at Wyoming. He has not had a very good year, although he hit one earlier. So you're thinking for him, for Colorado, they've got to get down to the 25-yard line before they're comfortable.
So here's the situation. 33 Huskers, 31 Buffaloes, 1:37 showing on the clock. And the Buffs scrimmage from their own 21. Hawkins gets a pass out in the flat, throws it complete, and that's McKnight, and he will take it out of bounds at the 30-yard line. Workman was out there defensively.
And this entire game falls on the pass protection of the offensive line. The part of the team for Colorado that has had the hardest season, with guys in and out of the lineup, injured, a couple of academic suspensions. They're down to freshmen and sophomores mostly. If they can pass protect, I think Colorado can do it. If they can't, this game's over.
2nd down and 1. 90 seconds left in our ball game. Little play action. Hawkins throws this one away.
Well, and that's a miscommunication. We were talking earlier about Josh Smith. Still trying to settle in and take his practice habits onto the field. He cut that route off, and Hawkins thought he was going to take it a little longer.
Well, you see Goodman 5 of 14 this year. His longest 37 yards, and he's missed 8 of his last 10 kicks. So as Ed was explaining to you, it has not been a banner year for field goals.
Well, and his career long of 52 yards for Goodman happened at Wyoming in 2006. It was a game winner against San Diego State.
3 of 8 on third down conversions today. Hawkins steps up, throws it complete, and that'll be enough for the first down as Patrick Williams had to make a circus catch kind of behind him. And now the clock is stopped momentarily. 1:18 showing in the game. Thorell was there to make the tackle for Nebraska.
I think Nebraska needs to think about a blitz.
Well, they're coming with a 4-man rush. Hawkins deep over the middle, got a man there, and in and out of the hands of his intended receiver, Devaney almost came up with it, and Thorell at the last moment seemed to get a little touch on it.
Yeah, this is exactly the play we saw when Gear earlier in the game went for a touchdown. This time they're trying Devaney one-on-one against Thorell. Remember, Thorell forgot to turn and run with Gear on that touchdown. Remember, we saw Bo Pelini talking to him, made a great adjustment, and the nickelback this time made an excellent play.
Second down and 10. 65 seconds left. Ball is knocked down, and it's intercepted by Sue. Sue at the 15, at the 10, at the 5, and he will score.
And remember who got the tip last time there was an interception? Zach Potter, senior, on senior day. Gets the tip again.
Sue scores. Sue did a good job of holding it. He almost dropped it as he was trying to run too quickly.
His second interception return for a touchdown on the season. I would have to say you've got to make Sue first team all Big 12. I would say that's a lock.
Kick is up, and it's good.
There's Potter. Gets into the pads. It's good pass protection by Solder, the left tackle, but Potter at 6'7", he's just got a knack. He's got a knack in the kicking game. He's got 3 block kicks, and the senior comes up big. And what type of athlete is number 93?
Man.
Oh, my goodness.
Watch what happens. Potter with the tip. Then Sue comes up with the ball. And watch, when Hawkins tries to tackle him, it's like a gnat. He just bats him aside and takes it into the end zone for the touchdown.
When do you think that they practice stiff arms and high steps for the defensive line? I guess as much as they intercept passes around here. Remember, Bo Pelini, the defensive coordinator in 2003, they led the nation in interceptions, but you just don't expect your defensive line to come up with this many. Potter has 2 on the year, and now Sue has 2 interceptions, and both of them returned for touchdowns. It's just uncanny.
Well, you can imagine the wild scene here in Lincoln on 297th consecutive sellout. And they've enjoyed this one. Now, it didn't start the way they thought it should have gone as this one goes out of bounds. And Colorado will get to take the ball over at a very good field position. Time now for the ESPNU All-State Standings Review.
Well, all of these teams angling to get to 1 and 2. And we showed you earlier how there might be a rematch in the BCS title game of the Big 12 South Red River rivalry if Alabama and or Florida stub their toe against Auburn or Florida State, and then the team that lost wins in the SEC championship game, regardless of what happens in the South. If Texas or Oklahoma goes in that 3-way tie scenario, you could have that rematch very easily.
Hawkins going to go long, near sideline, almost intercepted Asante was right there.
Well, you have to give Dan Hawkins and his staff a lot of credit.
Oh, hey, these kids have battled now. They have battled and battled.
This team came in here. I mentioned earlier in the game they've lost over 100 games in their first and second string to injury this season. It's just been unbelievable. Lost both of their safeties, senior safeties. They've lost 5 offensive linemen that were in the rotation. And there's your hero. A new school record and what looks like will be the game winner.
Play action, heavy pressure, he is sacked. Barfield. Shukri Barfield, a senior out of Camden, New Jersey. 4th sack of the afternoon.
And for Nebraska, as Colorado burns their last time out, it was all about bringing back the luster of the black shirts. This defense got them back after the Kansas game. Played lights out against Kansas State, and it was their constant stops of Colorado that set up this 57-yard game-winning, what was the go-ahead points. Of course, you got to put Sue's points in there.
Didn't make it by much, but it doesn't have to, does it?
It only would have been closer if it had caught some iron on the way by.
Well, today's Chevrolet players of the game are from Colorado. Jimmy Smith. Look at this. 10 tackles, 58-yard fumble recovery for a touchdown, and he had another fumble recovery as well. And Henry for Nebraska, who kicked the new school record 57-yard field goal. Pressure, and he's sacked again. It's Barfield again. In recognition of their efforts, Chevrolet is going to make a $1,000 contribution to each university's general scholarship fund for those players named MVPs just a moment ago.
Well, and for Nebraska, this is sweet revenge. Remember, last year's game decided who would go to a bowl game, and Colorado won.
Hawkins throws it and has it complete, and that's McKnight at the 50-yard line. 8 ticks showing on the clock. 24 yards on the pass play.
And now for Nebraska, who makes up for some serious ills at the end of last year. It looks like the most likely place for them will be the Gator Bowl against an ACC opponent, and a place that Nebraska's never been. It'll be a wonderful trip, and they're going to come awfully strong with the Big Red Nation.
Well, a senior, and
Joe Gans, what a
how excited do you think he is? Because when he got sacked and lost 15 yards, things didn't look too bright, did they, Ed Cunningham?
I think I know who's buying Henry some dinner tonight.
5-6 seconds showing on the clock, actually. Pass, far sideline, and this one is intercepted by Asante.